Leader Chuck Schumer may think that every day that goes by, the shutdown gets better for the political prospects of the Democrats, but every day that it goes by, it gets a lot worse for the American people. Now, Democrats, senators might start to feel that a little bit personally when they try to fly out of airports, and you see some of the impacts that are already occurring with respect to TSA and air traffic control. And families around the country are already seeing the impacts, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. Because we just needed 5 more votes, 5 more Democrat votes that the Democrats wouldn't give us yesterday, the American people are going to miss a lot more and feel a lot more pain and miss a lot more paychecks in the very near future. So shame on the Democrats. Shame on the Democrats for doing this to the American people. I mean, look at that. Really? Every day gets better for us? Every day gets better for us. That's their thought about what this shutdown means. So shame on the Democrats for what they're doing to the American people. Republicans want our troops to get paid. We want our air traffic controllers to get paid. We want our TSA agents to get paid. We want our border control agents to get paid. And we have voted that way now in the United States Senate 7 times to open up the government. Democrats in the Senate are the last hurdle to getting the government open again and the American people back to work. But what? Instead, they've decided to pander to their far-left activist base who are cheering what's going on here. And the Democrats tend to be so afraid, I guess is the only thing, or running scared from that far-left activist base, that they are willing to put that ahead of what's in the best interest of the American people. Well, it's time for them to get a backbone. It's really time for the Senate Democrats to show a little courage and put the American people ahead of their far-left activist base. They have a simple choice in front of them. Open up the government. Quit playing politics. Quit talking about how it gets better for us because we're looking at the polling and we think that we're winning. This is all that's between this country and their government being open again. It's this bill. You've seen it before. It's passed the House of Representatives. It's sitting at the desk of the Senate. It could be picked up and passed today, put on the President's desk where he has said he will sign it into law. The government opens back up. People get paid. Troops get paid. Air traffic controllers get paid. TSA agents get paid. Border Patrol agents get paid. And we get back to working on behalf of the American people. That's really, this is it. This is all that is between this country being back to work again, and it's 5 Democrats in the United States Senate. We have a majority of United States senators. 55 out of 100 senators are voting to open up the government. We need 5 bold, courageous Democrats with a backbone who are willing to take on their far-left activist base, join us in passing this. To do it anytime. Send it to the President, he'll sign it into law. It's that simple. Something they've done 13 times when they had the majority here in the United States Senate and President Biden in the White House. 13 different times. Continuing resolutions are a routine practice around here. They don't get hijacked for extraneous policy writers, and we didn't do that. No gimmicks, no policy writers, no partisan attachments to the bill that came over that the Speaker and the House passed and sent to the Senate. It's just a straight-up bill to keep our government open so we can continue the appropriations process and get back to work for the American people. Speaker Johnson.
I want to thank Leader Thune for his strong, principled leadership over here in the Senate. They have held the line and done the right thing. I'm so delighted that he keeps holding up our House product here. Obviously, this is something we're very proud of. Why? Because it is a clean CR. And what is so historic about what's happening right now is that never in history, never before have you been able to write that a party closed the government over a clean CR. This is the first time. These political antics are frankly ridiculous. and real Americans are being hurt. In my press conference a few hours ago, many or most of you were there, and we talked about how Chuck Schumer is very clearly, and the Democrats, who are his accomplices here in the Senate, are very clearly causing pain for the American people for their own political survival. And I shared a couple of headlines. I'll share them here again. Politico yesterday, their headline, quote, "Chuck Schumer's critics are satisfied." See, he's trying to appease the radical left base of his party. That's clearly what's going on, and no one can deny it. And apparently it's having the desired effect. Here's another one. CNN reported yesterday, Democrats say even missed paychecks for U.S. troops won't be enough to end the shutdown alone. It continues. The co-founder of Indivisible, radical left group, as you know, Chuck Schumer hasn't surrendered yet. Quote, "I call that progress." David Hogg, the former DNC vice chair, too radical even for the DNC. They kicked him out. Okay, he said yesterday, "We give credit where credit is due. This is a big step up for Chuck Schumer." There was Democrat aide. This one's pretty amazing. CNN reported a few hours ago. The shutdown will last as long. This is the aide reporting on what's being said behind closed doors with the senators on the Democrat side. The shutdown will last as long as public perception is on their side, short of, quote, planes falling out of the sky. Because air traffic controllers are experiencing a shortage now, I guess. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning. The Republican Congress has voted 8 times now. Once in the House, 7 times in the Senate. In fact, Lily, will you bring that up? I think visual aids are helpful sometimes because they're trying to obscure these simple facts. Okay, these are the facts. These are the dates. The Republicans in Congress have now voted 8 times to pay the troops and all other federal workers. We did it on September 19th in the House 3 weeks ago today. And now the Senate, under Leader Thune's leadership, has voted 8 times. These are the dates. September 19th they did it. September 30th. October 1st and 3rd and 6th and 8th and 9th. Over and over and over. The Republicans voted to open the government and pay the troops. And the Democrats, every single time, voted for them not to be paid. Not to pay TSA agents. If your flight's canceled today, you can blame it on the Democrats. They are the ones that are making sure that air traffic controllers have shortages. We don't want planes falling out of the sky, for heaven's sake. They're making a mockery of this, and it is outrageous to us. You got 2 very even-tempered guys here. Thank you, Lily. You got 2 very even-tempered guys here. We don't get upset a lot. We don't get our feathers ruffled, okay? But this is so outrageous. It's so beyond the pale because real people are being hurt. You got 700,000 federal workers that will receive paychecks today, followed by an additional 400,000 workers on 10/14. That's their last paycheck. That is the last paycheck they're going to have until the Democrats reopen the government. You got 1.3 million troops, active duty soldiers and airmen, sailors. They're going to miss their check on October 15th because the Democrats dug their heels in and showed that they didn't care. 8 times they have voted not to pay these people who are serving and protecting all the rest of us. You have 2 million federal civilian workers and 1.3 million active duty military service members who are not going to be harmed. You also have Veterans Health Services and nutrition programs for young mothers and infants. They're all being stalled and encumbered. You've got FEMA services, flood insurance policies that can't be renewed or written while this is all shut down in the middle of a hurricane season. It goes on and on and on. The harm is real. It is very damaging. And it is outrageous to us that Democrats are playing games so they can appease their base. Now, we've heard, and I'll turn it back over to the leader, take some questions, but we've heard, and many of you have reported already, this Hate America rally that they have coming up for October 18th. The Antifa crowd and the pro-Hamas crowd and the Marxists, they're all going to gather on the mall. We got some House Democrats selling T-shirts for this event. It is an outrageous gathering for outrageous purposes, but the Democrats in the Senate have shown that they're afraid of that crowd, that they don't want to bow, that they want to bow to them, bow the knee to them, and they don't want to take incoming from them. And so they're willing to hold the American people hostage so that they don't have to face an angry mob that's a big chunk of their base. Now, if that's a rumor, they need to come out and clarify that it's not, but that is what we are hearing is their actual motivation, and it is outrageous. All this has got to come to an end. Turn it back over to the leader.
Leader Thune, good afternoon. 55 votes, you said. Why not go ahead and use this as an opportunity if things are so dire to get rid of the filibuster? Use the nuclear option.
Well, that's the filibuster, as you know, supermajority requirement is something that makes the Senate the Senate. And honestly, if we had done that, there's a whole lot of bad things that could have been done by the other side. The 60-vote threshold has protected this country, and frankly, that's what I think this last election was largely about, because if the Democrats had won the majority, they probably would have tried to nuke the filibuster. And then you'd have 4 new United States senators from Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia. You'd have a packed Supreme Court. You'd have abortion on demand, a whole bunch of things that were on that laundry list. They had about 6 or 7 things that they were going to do when they nuked the filibuster. And so the filibuster protects. It's been a voice for the minority. It gives the minority a say in what happens in this country. The founders created the Senate uniquely that way for that specific reason. And so it's just really not that complicated. All it takes is a little backbone, a little courage on behalf of 5 Democrats to do what they have done and what we've done for decades when it comes to funding the government. Continuing resolutions, as we pointed out 13 different times in the last 4 years with the Biden in the White House and the Democrats with the majority in the Senate, this was done. It's a routine thing. And it's just, this is outrageous what they are doing. And it is. They ought to be ashamed, because this just doesn't get done. You don't hijack the federal government to try and create $1.5 trillion in new spending, free health care for non-citizens, and you can go right down the list. I mean, this isn't even realistic. I mean, they're not serious people. And it's time they came to their senses and did the right thing for the American people.
Are you feeling any pressure on the filibuster? No, nobody's pressuring.
Well, there's always pressure on the filibuster, sure. Yeah. I mean, there are folks out there who think that is the way we ought to do things around here, simple majority. But I can tell you that the filibuster through the years has been something that's been a bulwark against a lot of really bad things happening to the country. Yeah. Wherever. Okay.
He suggested that a military pay bill cannot pass the Senate. Is that your understanding? Do you think a military pay bill would be blocked by Democrats?
Well, there's a military pay bill right here. I mean, I just don't know what I honestly, this pays the military. And all they have to do is pick it up at the desk, give us 5 votes, and the military gets paid.
Do you know whether Trump is going to try to move money around to pay the troops, and do you think that is something he should be doing?
I suspect that they're probably going to be, pretty soon, they're going to have to do some things. I think, to their credit, the White House has now for 10 days laid off doing anything in hopes that enough Senate Democrats would come to their senses and do the right thing and fund the government. But now that we're getting these where people are going to start missing paychecks, this gets real. This gets real for families, a lot of military families who live paycheck to paycheck, a lot of American families who live paycheck to paycheck who are federal employees. And so I just think that the White House, my expectation is, yes, they're going to have to start making some decisions about how to move money around, which agencies and departments are going to be impacted, which programs are going to be impacted, which employees are going to be impacted. That's what a shutdown does. You put the administration and this presidency in a position where they're going to have to make some hard decisions.
Yesterday you discussed, or you reported that you discussed giving a date certain for a vote, or giving some sort of assurance that there would be a vote on a Obamacare tax credit bill. Could you talk through that, what you're thinking, and what happened there?
Well, I mean, I think that the Democrats, there are some Democrats who I think are reasonable enough to know this is not a sustainable position for them, who are looking for a way to get something in this conversation that would enable them to have the issue that they say they care about here addressed. And I've said all along, I'm open to that. I think the Speaker's expressed that we get the government opened up again, and we're willing to have that conversation. And frankly, so those are some things that I think are perhaps real possibilities, but it doesn't happen absent voting to open up the government. And so the Democrats who are interested in that sort of some sort of pathway on that need to, again, come to their senses and vote to open the government.
But just to follow up on that, Mr. Leader, are you going to have any conversations conversations over the next couple of days with Leader Schumer about that? And, to Jake's point, I guess, do you feel like maybe you're getting closer to an off-ramp here?
Well, I think Leader Schumer is checked out. I don't think this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen organically with enough reasonable Senate Democrats who care enough about doing the right thing for their country and not what's in the best interests of their left-wing political base to come forward and help us find a solution. And those conversations continue. But, the insistence of the Democrat leadership on their plan or nothing else is, I don't know how do you even come forward with a proposal that has $1.5 trillion in new spending, wipes out everything that we did last summer with the reconciliation bill, including the $50 billion that goes to rural hospitals, and wipes out all the provisions that banned free health care to non-citizens. I mean, really? You think that's going to pass the Senate or even come close to getting a vote in the House or a signature by the President? What they're talking about is unserious. It's been unserious from the very beginning. So, yes, if they want to sit down and talk about opening up the government and doing some of the things that I've suggested and we've suggested, which is, allowing the conference committee to work on the 3 appropriation bills we passed, bringing other appropriations bills to the floor so we can start funding the government the old-fashioned way, and there's an interest on both sides in doing that. And, yeah, a conversation about what we do on the expiring enhanced ACA subsidies. And there's a lot of conversations going on around that. But that doesn't happen until we get the government open.
Last question. I wanted to know, you had a call with the Freedom Caucus and you said you were working on rescissions and that rescissions would come up again potentially. Rescissions is something that the Democrats have said is a reason that perhaps there's a lack of trust. Can you both address the question of trust with the Democrats as well as what rescissions are you talking about?
Let's talk about trust. Who's in good faith? We sent over this clean document. We didn't load it up with any partisan priorities because we're not playing games here. We wanted to keep the lights on so that we can continue the appropriations process to spend the taxpayers' money more responsibly. I did a conference call within the last hour with the House Freedom Caucus and a lot of journalists, and one of the questions was, are you all concerned about the national debt? You darn right we are. The Republicans are. The Democrats don't seem to care. We crossed this $37 trillion threshold. It is not a sustainable situation. It took us a long time as a nation to get into this financial hole, and we are doing everything we can in every possible way to get us back to sound fiscal responsibility. And what does that include? Well, not only an infusion of pro-growth policies like we implemented with the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut package, so many things that are going to help the economy short-term and long-term. But also, we have to reduce spending. We have to. The government spends too much. It's too large. It does too many things. It does almost nothing well. As Reagan used to remind us, government is not the solution to the problem. Government is the problem. And so are we in favor of reducing spending? Yes. That we're trying to do that in a responsible manner. The reconciliation package that we passed saves $1.6 trillion of taxpayer funds. We eliminated fraud, waste, and abuse. We worked towards efficiency to get the government working better for the people. We're proud of that. There's no legislative body in the history of planet Earth that's ever saved $1.6 trillion or anything close to that. But it's the first of many steps. So we have to appropriate at lower, more responsible levels, not in a way that disenfranchises or hurts any American that relies upon vital services, but in a way that makes government work better for people. We're excited about that. A rescissions package is part of our process. I know the Democrats hate to cut spending in any way, in any form. But we are for that because we have to make government work better for people. If you look at the polling, the people's faith in the federal government is at an all-time low. Why? Because they don't see that it's being done well. And we are doggedly determined to get back to those principles. And so the Democrats are going to decry any limitation of spending. Watch them. Have you ever seen a Democrat ever want to reduce a federal program? Reduce the size or scope of government? No. They always want to spend more. We cannot afford to do that. We have to do it better. The Republican Party are the ones that are going to return us to fiscal sanity, and all of this is part of that. This simple CR is part of that. We didn't load it up with partisan priorities. We tried to make it simple because we had appropriators in the Republican and Democrat parties who joined together and said, in the House, and said, you know what? Give us 7 more weeks. Give us until November 21st. Let's keep the lights on. Very simple, clean measure, as simple as possible. Keep everything at status quo so we can work together and come to consensus to spend the taxpayers' money more responsibly. Yes, we're committed to that. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.